All rise.
The Kosovo Specialist Chambers is now in session.
Please be seated. Good morning. Court officer, can you please call the case?
Good morning, Your Honors. This is case KSC BC 2020-04, the Specialist Prosecutor versus Pieter Shala.
Thank you. Our apologies for this not anticipated delay. Here we are. First of all, I kindly ask the parties to indicate who is present for today. Specialist Prosecutor's Office, you have the floor.
Good morning, Your Honors. For the SPO today, we have Line Pedersen, our case manager, Eva Niermark, our legal intern, Filippo De Minicis, Kaya Pergola, and myself, Eva Wieler, as associate prosecutors.
Thank you very much. Victims' Counsel, you have the floor.
Good morning, Your Honours. I'm Simon Laws, Victims' Counsel in this case, together with my co-counsel, Maria Radziowska.
Thank you. Defense Counsel, you have the floor.
Good morning. Good morning, Your Honor. So we are with Mr. Shala by video link, as yesterday. We have Leto Kariolu and Mr. Edi Awini, co-counsel. We have some evidence review assistants, Juliette Haley, Francesca De Castro, Judith Corday, and two interns, Julia Teshpi, and Camille Gosson, and myself, Mr. Gillissen. And of course, our case manager, Zaneta Patrevica. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Defense Counsel. Mr. Shala, does the connection work? Can you hear me? Could you confirm that you hear me, Mr. Shala?
Yes, I can hear you very well.
Thank you. Okay, we will continue today with the testimony of the SPO witness 07. We will sit for 3 sessions, and that will again be the regular schedule, so 9:30, 11, 11:31, and then a break of 1.5 hours till 4 o'clock. So that means from 2:30 till 4. Yeah? Very well. And before we continue with the testimony of the witness, I would like to give a number of directions regarding the use of time in courtroom, as we discussed yesterday afternoon. To be clear on that, because I think that is an important issue, and I don't want to have any misunderstandings in that respect. Parties and Victims' Counsel are expected to be ready to continue with their questioning of the witness as soon as the other participants have completed their questioning. Considering the panel's sitting schedule and availability of the courtroom, the testimonies of the witness scheduled within one evidentiary block must be, in principle, and I don't have to explain the reasons why, completed in that week. That said, parties and Victims' Counsel can ask for more time to prepare if they need. And we will consider that request, and depending on the circumstances, we may take a break, a longer break, a longer lunch break, anticipate a break. I mean, that's what we have been doing in another case too. There is always some flexibility in that respect. And this is always subject to the time available and the need to complete the witness within this week. That is how I see it. And what Parties and Victims' Counsel cannot expect is that we adjourn the hearing midday and then we would proceed the next day. We just don't have the time for that. But for the rest, within the reasonable, we are, of course, ready to accommodate needs for to confer with the rest of the team, look for references, which is also helpful when we are in court. So I hope this is clear for everybody. Yes? Very well. Madame Court Clerk, could you issue the witness in? Thank you. And for the record, I have done the presentation, or I've asked everybody to say who's present, but I see that I have not mentioned, not given the floor to the registry. So please, you have the floor.
Thank you, Your Honour. I'm Ralph Roach from Judicial Services Division on behalf of the registry.
Okay. My apologies for not including you in the first round. Good morning, Mr. Witness. Can you hear me fine?
Yes. Good morning to you all.
Welcome to the specialist chambers. I hope you had some rest.
Yes.
Today we will continue with your examination by the parties and victims counsel and the panel, if needed. Will depend on if they have questions. And I will first give the floor to Madame Prosecutor. Do you have any questions for the witness?
Your Honours, we don't have any further questions. Thank you.
Thank you. And victims counsel, I remember that yesterday you said as things stated then, you had anything to ask, but maybe that has changed.
No, it hasn't, Your Honour. Thank you.
Thank you. Defense counsel, do you have any questions at this point?
Good morning, Your Honor. As a very logical consequence, no further questions. No. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Witness.
Mr. Witness, from the side of the panel, there is a question, or maybe two, or maybe some. So I will give the floor to one of my colleagues to pose that to you. I see you nodding very well. I know that on my left-hand side there is a question. You have the floor.
Yeah. Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Witness. I have one question about what you said yesterday, and it was at page 80, line 6. You said the following: but also for us boys, perspectives were not the same. What do you mean by that? And what do you mean by perspectives? And perspectives where? Thank you.
The perspective means that we were not working, we were unemployed. The eldest brother was working with the police. And sometime in 2006 or 2007, he quit because he felt somehow unsafe.
Okay, so you link all of that to what happened to your father?
Yes.
all those perspectives are linked to Kosovo. You are speaking about the perspectives in Kosovo.
Yes. In Kosovo.
How much time was your older brother working with the police after the events concerning your father?
For 6 years. Or 7, I'm not sure.
Okay. And it was more difficult for the other brothers, including yourself, to find a work.
I was also to the police. My name came up that I had been admitted, selected, but then later on it was removed, meaning my name.
So actually you were barred from entering police forces in Kosovo.
Something along those lines, like that. I mean, when your name comes up as a selected, so my name came up as a selected candidate, my eldest brother saw it even, and then this was removed for some reason, publicly.
Okay. And all those consequences, you link them to what happened to your father.
I'm not sure about this. It is possible, however, people who knew each other.
Because your brother was in the police, so did he tell you something about that?
No,
Okay.
he didn't have any such information.
How much time after the war?
I didn't work at all after the war, at all.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Witness. I have finished my question.
Thank you. Mr. Witness, there are no more questions from the panel, so that means that we have reached the end of your testimony. And I would like to thank you for the efforts you have put in giving your testimony, and I believe that it will be helpful for the panel to find the truth. So I say thank you. I remind you not to discuss with anybody your testimony as you have been giving it here at the Kosovo Specialist Chambers. And I wish you a safe trip home. I will ask Madame Court Usher to accompany you out of the courtroom.
Thank you. All the best to you as well.
Well, this is the end of the examination of witness 7. Thank you, Madame Court Usher. And we will now proceed with witness 9 of the Specialist Prosecutor's Office. Madame Court Usher, is there now any issues to raise? Yeah, Madame Court Usher. We will first test a technical issue and then we proceed, and we will do that in private session. Madam Court Officer, can you bring us into private session, please?
Your Honours, we're in public session.
Thank you, Madam Court Officer. Madam Court Officer, can you usher the witness in? Thank you. Good morning. Please have a seat. Mr. Witness, good
Good morning.
morning to you, Mr. Witness.
Good morning.
The specialist chambers. You can hear me fine, I notice.
Yes.
How are you, first of all?
I'm fine. Thank you.
With your coat on.
Yes, I think I'm fine. It doesn't bother me.
Very well. Today we will start with your testimony, Mr. Witness, and before we begin, I have several remarks. I will first begin with explaining the protective measures that have been granted to you. Yes?
Fine.
Protective measure that has been granted to you is a pseudonym. And that means that I will never mention your name here, but I will only refer to you as Mr. Witness. Yeah? I will do that to make sure that the public doesn't know your name. We have face and voice distortion, and that means that no one outside the courtroom can see your face or hear your real voice when you're speaking in the courtroom. When you answer a question that will not reveal your identity, we will do so in open session, which means that the public can hear what is said in the courtroom. When you are asked to describe anything that relates to you or to mention facts that can reveal your identity, we will do so in private session. And I will say that explicitly when we are in private session. And that means that there is no broadcast and that no one can see or hear what is said in the courtroom. If anything is said during open session that may identify you, we will protect that information. Your testimony will be broadcast with a delay, and we can remove any such information from the broadcast that can be seen and heard by the public, and also from the transcript of this hearing. Are the protective measures I have just explained to you, Mr. Witness, clear?
They're all clear. Thank you.
Testify before the specialist chambers in the case of the specialist prosecutor's office against Mr. Shala, to assist the panels to reach a verdict. After you have taken your solemn declaration to tell the truth, you will be asked questions first by the specialist prosecutor's office. They are sitting in front of you with the purple robes. Yeah. Then you will be asked a question by the lawyer representing the victims admitted to participate in these proceedings. And then on the other side is sitting the team for the defense, and they are wearing the red togas, and they are representing Mr. Shala. And at the end, you will be asked, or you may be asked questions by the panel. I see you nodding. I trust you have understood that. I would like to provide
Yes.
you with some guidance for answering the questions that will be asked to you. Please listen carefully to each question, and if you don't understand a question, be asked it to be repeated, and we will do so. And for us, it is very important that you tell the truth, so that you tell us what you saw, what you heard, what you experienced yourself. And if you did not see or hear it yourself, but you found out in another way, please tell us, and also please how it came to you. Yes? And you may not
Understood.
of the events, so if you don't remember, you don't know, please tell so. Yes.
Fine.
Also important that you try to answer the questions that are posed to you, and that you don't elaborate too much. If further clarification is needed, follow-up questions will follow, and it will also help us to see what part of your testimony can be done in public and what can be done in private.
All right.
All this, and there's also some practical advice I would like to give you with regard to giving your testimony, and that is the following. What we say here, everything what we say here is translated by the interpreters in the interpretation booth and recorded, and so it's important that you speak into the two microphones in front of you, that you speak clearly, and that you also speak at a slow pace. And this will allow the interpreters to translate everything. Another thing that is important,
Fine.
please start speaking when the person asking you a question has finished the question. Although, if you already know what you want to answer, please wait till it has finished, because if not, we get overlapping speakers, and then it's difficult to interpret and to for the stenographer to write everything down. And when a question is asked, please wait 5 seconds before giving the answer. And this pause of 5 seconds is also very important for us to hear all the translation. If I raise my hand like this, that means that I ask you, no, if I do it, that means that you have to stop.
Sorry, fine.
If I do like this, then it's my request for you, please stop talking, because I have to say something, and I don't want to interrupt you, because then we have overlapping speakers. So then I raise my hand, and then you see it, and then you know that I'm asking you to stop. And if you have any questions,
All right.
if you need a break or there's something that you want to tell the court, please raise your hand, and then I will give you the floor, and you can discuss what is needed. Understood all this?
Yes.
Mr. Witness, is my understanding right that you don't speak English, but you do understand English?
I do understand English.
Okay. That means that during the examination by the parties and victims counsel, it may occur that I will ask you to take off your headphones, and I will ask Madame Court Usher to usher you out of the courtroom in order to have a discussion with regard to the content of your testimony or with regard to a question that we don't want you to hear, in order to avoid that you are influenced by what is expressed in the courtroom. Yeah? So
Okay.
that you understand what's happening. Very well. As I must do with every witness, I will now ask you to read the solemn declaration to tell the truth. And I must say to you that it is a crime within the jurisdiction of the specialist chambers to give a false declaration. Do you understand that?
It's clear.
Clerk, can you assist the witness with his solemn declaration to tell the truth? Mr. Witness, please read the solemn declaration to tell the truth.
Conscious of the significance of my testimony and my legal responsibility, I solemnly declare that I will tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, and that I shall not withhold anything which has come to my knowledge.
Thank you, Mr. Witness. You are now under oath to tell the truth. And we can now begin with the testimony of witness number 9. Madame Prosecutor, you have the floor.
Thank you, Your Honors. Good morning, witness.
Good morning.
I will start with a few questions about personal details and details about your family. And since this is information protected under the protective measures, I will ask the panel to go into private session.
Madame Court Officer, could you bring us into private session, please?
Your Honours, we're in public session.
Thank you, Madam Court Officer. Madam Prosecutor, you may proceed.
Thank you. How would you describe your father as a person up until the war?
I would describe my father as a very honest, sincere man. Very affectionate to his family, to himself, friends, the community, surrounded by very friends, many friends.
Thank you. Witness, you just told us that in 1998 you had already left Kosovo, but your family still lived in a village, in the village you indicated. Did your family ever leave this village in 1998?
In 1998, my family left that place.
And what was the reason that your family left that place?
The reason was that some individuals in the area had went there, asked for my father, wanting to take him with them. Asking him to surrender his weapons and then take him away.
And since you were not there, as I understand, how did you learn about this incident?
I was told by my family members through a phone call after a certain time after the incident, because we didn't have phone line in the house. They left the house, went somewhere else, and couldn't make this call to inform me.
You say sometime after the incident. Do you roughly remember how much time was in between the phone call and the time they left?
To be honest, I don't remember the exact time.
Did your father or the family members who told you about the incident tell you anything about the people present on that day that the incident happened?
Yes. They told me about them, but they didn't recognize all of them.
Can you tell us who they recognized that day?
My mother recognized a person by the name of Hams. I don't know his last name. I don't personally know him. My mother identified him by the name of Hams.
You said that your family members didn't recognize all of the people present that day. Did they learn any names later on?
They learned the names of another one among these people at a later stage because the person in question himself told to my father that he was there on that day because on the day of the incident nobody recognized him.
And do you know where these people came from?
I don't understand the question. Where did they come from? Sorry.
Came that day and met with your family. Did they belong to a certain organization?
Yes. Yes, they said that they were coming from the Jablanica headquarters. This is what I was told.
And whose headquarters was that in Jablanica?
The KLA headquarters in Jablanica. So that they had received an order from that headquarters. Hams had said so. As reported, relayed from my mother, they had an order from the headquarters of Jablanica to come there.
So do I understand correctly that the people that met your family that day were sent by the KLA headquarters in Jablanica?
Correct. Correct.
You said earlier, and I cite the provisional transcript, page 19, lines 15 to 18, that later on your father learned about a further name of a person that was present that day. What was the name that your father learned?
The name that my father learned is Peter Shala.
And
See, you're standing defense counsel. If it's on the content or on the transcript?
I'm sorry if I'm mistaken, but I didn't hear that the father learned. I saw they learned. Can we clarify this, please?
Defense counsel, I think that for next time it's good that we usher the witness out, because that would help for you, and that we have an answer. But yes, Madam Prosecutor, could you please re-ask the question just to have it clear?
at the same reference I made before in the transcript, you said that they learned about a further name, and you mentioned that that name was Peter Shala. Who was it that learned about that name?
My father heard his name.
And can you tell us in which circumstances your father learned about that name?
My father learned his name there when he was in Albania. He learned this when he was abducted.
And whom did he learn that name from when he was in Albania?
He learned this from the person himself who told him.
Can you name the person he learned it from?
Peter Shala.
Thank you. I will come back to what happened to your father in Albania in 1999 later on. I have a follow-up question still on the year 1998. Apart from your father, did you learn about Peter Shala's participation in this incident from anybody else?
I'm I have good contacts with my school friends there. And after the war, I myself started to inquire who that person is and if that person was there in the village where we lived.
You just said you had friends there. Without giving us the name, what is there?
No, I didn't ask anyone explicitly whether he was present there. I was only interested to know whether he was in the village where we lived.
You be referred to an incident later on in Albania. So, did your family ever leave Kosovo?
My family left Kosovo when the NATO air campaign started. Together with the rest of the Albanian population in the area.
And while they were in Albania, did anything happen to your father in 1999?
Yes. He was abducted by 4 persons and sent in a camp in Kukus. This is what he told us.
Before we get to a more detailed question about this incident itself, I would like to know who your source of information was. Who told you about the incident that happened to your father?
Don't mention any names, Mr. Witness.
No. From my father, my mother, and others.
And when did your father tell you about it?
My father told me about this when I went to Kosovo in 1999. However, we had spoken on the phone on the day he was released and went back home.
Do you remember approximately, or do you remember the month and the year that phone call happened, the day he went back home?
Maybe approximately, however, I cannot give you an exact date. It was in May, end of May, June. I cannot know an exact date when this happened.
It's been a long time, thank you. Now I'd like to focus on what your father has told you about the incident in 1999. So you said he has been abducted. Did he tell you more precise details about his abduction?
Yes. Yes. To start with the abduction, one of those four persons involved in the abduction was recognized. My eldest brother recognized him. The other persons involved were unknown. And then he was taken to initially a small camp before going to Kukas. He was threatened on the way, and then later on he was taken to Kukas, where he stayed until the day of his release.
You said that your brother recognized one of the persons. Do you know the name of the person he recognized?
Yes, I do.
Can you please name it?
Yes. His name is Bashkim Lama.
And you also said that your father has been threatened on the transport. Do you know how he was threatened?
He was threatened to be killed. They were talking amongst themselves and asking who would kill him. And he replied, "My sons have recognized one of you, so do whatever you want."
And was he asked to do anything else while on this transfer to either this camp or to Kukas?
I don't understand the question, I'm sorry.
Do you remember any further details about that transfer, or whether he was asked to do something during this transfer to Kukas or the camp he was brought to?
This is what I remember him telling me about it, what happened until he went there. Maybe something else happened, but I don't remember now. Until he got there.
Thank you. Did your father ever tell you what has happened after he arrived in Kukas?
Yes, he told me. On one occasion he told me, because I couldn't hear what he was telling me often, but he told me that he was mistreated brutally there, with cruelty.
I'm aware that this must be difficult for you to talk about, but could you give us, if you have, more details about how he was treated in Kukës?
He said that they were beaten up with rubber batons, iron bars, wooden buttons. They would cut them with knives. Beat him up until he would lose consciousness.
Was this a single incident that he and others apparently were beaten, or was this happened more than once?
No, this happened on several occasions.
Did your father ever tell you who took part in these beatings?
Yes. He would always take 3 persons whom he could identify positively with 100% certainty.
Can you please provide the names?
Yes. Peter Shala, Sabit Getzi, and the other one was, I'm sorry, Krasniqi, Jemshid Krasniqi. My father always told about these 3 persons.
Was your father ever interrogated while he was detained in Kukës?
They did interrogate him briefly about who the spies are, about the people, but not a lengthy, thorough interrogation.
Your Honours, for one question, may we move into private session?
Madam Court Officer, could you bring us into private session, please?
Your Honours, we're in private session.
Thank you, Madam Court Officer. Madam Prosecutor, you may proceed.
Thank you. I refer to page 25 of the provisional transcript, lines 6 to 7. Witness, you said they were beaten and they were cut with knives. Has your father ever told you about other people being detained in Kukës?
He did tell that there were 7, 8, 9, I don't remember, but I know he told about this. To be honest, I was not really interested in other people. I was interested in my father. But he did tell that there were other people there as well.
Since we are in private session, you can safely mention their names if your father ever told you names of people.
Yes. There
Your Honors, we're in public session.
Thank you, Madam Court Officer. Madam Prosecutor, you may proceed.
Thank you. Witness, you mentioned, and I refer to page 25 of the provisional transcript, line 16, that your father has been mistreated by Pieter Shala. Did your father ever tell you whether he also spoke to Pieter Shala while he was detained in Kukës?
Yes. Pieter Shala opened this topic, initiated this discussion, and told my father I learned about the release of my father from my mother. She called me the day he was released.
Did you only speak to your mother on that day?
I spoke to my mother first and then with my father shortly. I asked him how he was. He said that he was doing well. It was just a short phone call, 3-4 minutes it lasted.
And to the best of your knowledge, when your father told you that he's well, was this the truth?
I did not believe him, to tell you the truth, but I didn't want to dwell on it.
I would like to ask you some questions, what you yourself observed on him, if anything. When did you see
Madam Prosecutor, mindful of the time, it's getting near to 11 o'clock. So I think that it's good that we, for this amount, these questions, we start after the break, if that goes well with your examination.
Goes very well. Thank you.
Before we wrap up, there is a formality we have to, an important formality we have to take care of, and that is to assign the number to the map that has been given 2 numbers by Mr. Witness.
Yes, Your Honor, the map that was just marked by the witness will receive number REG 00944 and will shortly be uploaded into legal workflow.
Thank you, Madam Court Officer. We will have a break now from 11 till 11:30, and then we will continue, Mr. Witness, with the examination by the Specialist Prosecutor's Office. I will ask Madam Court Officer if she will be so kind to usher you out of the courtroom. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Court Officer. The hearing is adjourned for half an hour.
All rise. All rise.
Please be seated. Welcome back. And yes, we can proceed where we left it. Madam Court Usher, could you please usher the witness in, and then in the meantime I will do the appearances. I see the same composition for the Specialist Prosecutor's Office, and I see nodding.
Yes.
Very well. Victims Counsel, same thing. Thank you. Defense Counsel also. Mr. Shala, can you hear me? May I also hear your voice?
Yes, I can hear you very well.
Thank you. Welcome back, Mr. Witness. Can you hear me fine?
Yes.
Very well. Then we will continue with the questioning by the Specialist Prosecutor's Office, and I will give the floor, Mr. Witness, to Madam Prosecutor. You have the floor.
Thank you. Witness, before the break, you talked about the phone call you had with your father, and I'm referring to the provisional transcript at page 30, lines 19 to 21.
Yes.
Next time after this call on the day of his release.
The first time I saw my father after the events was in 1999, in December 1999.
Was your father in any way different than before his abduction?
Quite different.
In what way?
He used to be strong physically, and he had lost a lot of weight and appeared weakened.
You're talking about his physical condition. Is there anything else you observed on him from a physical?
Yes, I'm talking about his physical appearance condition.
Is there anything else you observed regarding his physical conditions?
He had here on his face a mark, a gash. The moment when I saw him, I saw that on his face. And a day later, he recounted what happened and showed me other marks, burns from cigarettes. He was showing me part of his leg where he had pain.
Apart from his physical condition, did he change also in his character?
He was the person he used to be, character-wise, but he was broken. Physically, he was weak.
When you say he was broken, how did you notice that he was broken?
I could notice it because often I would find him just pondering on things, thinking, lost in thoughts.
And just to have it clear on the record, you didn't see your father between the date of his release and December 1999. Is that correct?
That's correct. I did not see him before that.
In what way, if in any, did your father's abduction and what he experienced during his detention in Kukës affect you and your family?
It did largely affect our lives. We never thought that one day we would be mistreated in that way, because the family never deserved that. If we talk about contribution to Kosovo, we gave more contribution than many who were in the Kukës camp. And this was very difficult for us to get in terms with.
I understood that you said in plural that you were all mistreated. Can you elaborate a bit more on this?
Never complained in the area where we lived, but these persons who did this were from a different area, because the area where we lived, there were fighters for freedom, there are martyrs, and we respect them, and we see them in high regard. We wanted to be part of them, but because of what happened to my father, we could not join them. And everybody who lives in the area where we lived know this.
Thank you very much, Mr. Witness. We don't have any further questions, Your Honors. I tender the witness. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Prosecutor. Mr. Witness, the Specialist Prosecutor's Office has finished for now your questioning, and we will proceed with Victims' Counsel. Victims' Counsel, you have the floor.
Thank you, Your Honour. Well, I want to deal with one short matter in private session, if I may, please.
Madam Court Officer, could we please go into private session, please?
Your Honor, we're in public session.
Thank you, Madam Court Officer. Victims' Counsel, you have the floor.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Witness, for the period that your father was detained in Cookish, were you aware that he had been abducted and was being held at that time?
I knew.
Ask you how you felt at that time about what was happening to your father.
I was deeply concerned, worried, sleepless nights, looking for help in any direction, trying to find my father. These were very hard, difficult days, those 12, 13 or 15 days. I don't remember now exactly how many.
Thank you. So far as the effects on your father were concerned, you've told us about the physical effects that you saw, and you've used the word, I think, broken to describe him. I wanted to ask you specifically about the psychological effects on him and whether you noticed any changes in that regard.
Yes, I noticed. He was more lucid, he obedient. It wasn't his nature or nature of his reactions or how he would behave. He was smarter, we say.
I'm going to ask for your help with understanding this, because it may be that it's not easy to translate. Was your father, in your assessment of him, affected psychologically by his detention in Cookish?
He was in a very difficult psychological state. He was constantly in a pensive mood. Sometimes he would look at something without reacting. I noticed this, which was not the case before.
Were you aware of any changes to his sleep and to how he was in the night?
I only heard about this from my mother. That he would shout in his sleep at night, mention names, wake up abruptly. This would happen often.
Was your father able to work again after his release from Cookish?
Before the war, he always did physical work around the house, and after his release, he was not able to do that anymore.
Did he have paid employment after his release from Cookish?
No.
Economically, how did that affect the family?
This was a very difficult situation, living conditions after the war. I helped my family, provided for them until they were able to provide for themselves, find a job.
We don't need to know any of the details or what country you were living in, but we've already heard you had moved to another country and set up a business. Is that right?
Yes.
Financial position then to assist the family.
At that time, I did not have a business. I mean, when my family needed support, I was employed in a company.
And you supported them, did you then, from your income? Is that what you're saying, as an employee?
I used my income. I would work there 20 hours and assist my family.
And for how long did that economic support from you continue, please, Mr. Witness?
Only me. I was alone until 2002, and then my youngest brother joined me and helped me. Later on, my third brother came, and lastly, the eldest brother joined us.
They were able to join the business that you had established in another country.
Yes, later on.
And I just wanted to know for how long you were giving money to the family, to your mother and other siblings.
Until 2008, everything I earned here sent it back to Kosovo.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Witness. I have no other questions.
Thank you, Victims' Counsel. Now I turn to the Defense Counsel. Are you ready to proceed with the cross-examination?
Thank you, Your Honor.
Yes. I will inform the witness. Mr. Witness, I will now give the floor to the Defense Counsel to ask you some more questions. Defense Counsel, you have the floor.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, Mr. Witness.
Good morning.
As introduced at the beginning of the hearing by Madam the Presiding Judge, I am the counsel for defense, one of the counsels for the defense of Mr. Shala, and I will be asking you a couple of questions to clarify certain points on certain topics. Is that clear?
It is clear.
Thank you. Your Honor, with your leave, I would like to proceed in the following manner, if you agree. I'll put some references on 4 specific points from the transcript and ask the witness to confirm, and then use one document for the interest of efficiency to deal with those 4 specific points with the same document, same section.
Seems very organized. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Witness. Mr. Witness. You spoke earlier this morning about the incident in 1998. Correct?
Correct.
You said that you were not in Kosovo and you learned about this incident sometime after, and that's at page 18, line 22 of today's transcript. Correct?
Correct.
You also told us that your father learned the name of Pieter Shala in relation to this incident when he was abducted in Cooks, and that is at page 21, lines 7 to 12. Do you confirm that?
Can you please ask the question again?
The question is this. You told us that your father learned the name Pieter Shala when he was abducted, and he learned it directly from Pieter Shala.
Yes.
The extra reference to the direct source from Pieter Shala is at page 19, line 15, but we received the confirmation from the witness.
Certainly I don't remember having stated that.
Do you remember being interviewed by the SPO investigators, the SPO, our colleagues and investigators, last year?
Yes. Yes.
Mr. Witness, do you remember given a different information about the source of the knowledge about the name Pieter Shala, or the timing of the knowledge of the name Pieter Shala during that interview?
Can you please give me again the translation of the question? I didn't understand it correctly.
Did you say during that interview with the colleague from the SPO something different about the timing that your father learned this name, Pieter Shala?
I didn't say that. I said then as I'm saying now. He himself
Madam President, with your leave, we would like to call the prior statement of the witness. It is at ERN.
Please proceed, Madam Court Officer.
It is ERN 105290. At page 11 in English and lines 3 to 8 as a first passage.
Interpreter's correction, page 42, line 20 should read, I would certainly remember if I gave one.
It's page 11 in the English. You have it. I'll give you the Albanian in a moment. So it is page 12, lines 1 to 13, please. More precisely, 3 to 13. I'll read to you a passage, Mr. Witness. It was later, so in Kosovo, I just stayed a couple of weeks, but it was later on that my father found out about the names. So you learned these names from your father after you, was it after 1999 or before you went back to Kosovo? Sorry, I didn't understand. Answer, line 8, it was after 1999. Do you remember this passage, Mr. Witness?
Was it number 7, right?
Sorry, which number 7?
The question.
Yes, an answer would be number 9.
Yes.
Do you agree with me that this was specifically about the name Pietro Shala? Excuse me, let me ask the question, please.
Yes.
About the incident of 1998 and about Pietro Shala. That is my question.
Yes.
Do you confirm that you returned for the first time after the war in December 1999?
Defense Counsel, could we clarify about what names we are talking? Because for the record, we all have read this statement, but I think for the witness it must be difficult, but also for us to understand what you want to elicit. We need some context.
Absolutely, Your Honor. I agree with you. Let's move one page before. So page 10 in English, the last portion of questions and answers. Exactly. In the Albanian as well, we have to move one page above. Exactly there. Thank you very much. I'll read another portion for clarity, Your Honor. So, about the other names, it was later. So at the time, they didn't know them, but later my father knew some of the other names. Question, line 14. And do you recall today which other names your father learned who were part of that group? Answer. He mentioned the name of Shala, Pieter Shala. It was Malpipi. I don't know what his real name was, but that's how he was called, Malpipi. Question. I understand. Do you remember when your father, so first of all, did you learn these names personally, directly from your father? Was it your father who told you these two names, Pieter Shala and Malpipi, or did you learn it from somebody else? Answer, line 23, it was from my father, directly from him.
Defense counsel, I would have added also line 10, because there, and 11, and does any other name with regard to these KLA members who attacked your family house came to mind in relation to that incident, because then we have the location, and now we have only been talking about names and sources, but I think that for the witness it is relevant to know to what episode we are referring to. So we're talking about the attack to the house, Mr. Witness, yeah? And now I will give it back to defense counsel.
Yes. Yes.
No question. So, Mr. Witness, what we understand here is that your father learned himself, found out about this name after the war, not only after the war, but after your visit in December 1999, and that's when he told you. Do you confirm this understanding?
My father told me this name of this person at the time when I went to Kosovo.
This statement mentions that your father found out at that time and then told you about it. Do you agree with me?
Yes. My father told me his name.
Your Honors, if I may.
I was
Head interrupting. Perhaps the witness could remove the headphones.
I think that he has to leave at this point. Madam Court Usher, could you usher the witness out of the courtroom? Mr. Witness, we will ask you to leave for a moment. Thank you.
all right, thank you.
Mr. Prosecutor, you have the floor.
So, I think counsel is being a bit selective in the parts of the previous statement that he's putting to the witness, because there are parts of the statement in which the witness specifically talks about what his father told him, the information they received when he was in Kukas. So I think perhaps by proceeding this way, the witness may get confused. Counsel is reading some parts of the statement to the witness, but not what comes later. So the witness should be perhaps refreshed with the entirety of his evidence with respect to what he told SPO prosecutors during his interview, and then question about it. Because there's more, specifically on page 24, and I don't think that counsel is taking this into account in his questioning at the moment. And what he said, page 24, is entirely consistent with what he stated today.
You mean page 24 of the prior statement?
That's correct, Your Honor.
I am sorry, Your Honor, this is not correct. And my alert colleague will have an opportunity to redirect, examine if he wishes. I did not put anything that is not correct. I specifically read out the statement and sought an explanation from the witness. I don't see how this is out of context. I confirmed with him this was the incident, and I'm specifically talking about the names, the identification of the names, and the timing that happened. This is an audio recording transcript. This is the words, verbatim words of the witness. My colleague thinks it's not incompatible. We might disagree, and he has an opportunity to put questions afterwards.
Court officer. I see that Mr. Prosecutor is standing, and then I will tell what I think.
I just wanted that, I was referring that for the record, Mr. Awini told the witness, Mr. Witness, do you remember giving different information about the source of the knowledge about the name Peter Shala, or the timing of learning that name during the interview?
Where are you now? Sorry.
I'm sorry, page 42, lines 24 and following.
Wait.
Of the transcript of today's
Okay.
transcript, Your Honor. I'm sorry.
No.
I should be more precise. And,
So 42, wait,
yeah,
42?
42.
And
yes.
then line?
Line 24.
Yes.
Giving different information. I take issue with the fact that he gave different information to the SPO, Your Honor. I don't think that the witness, on the basis of his statement, gave us different information at the time.
I didn't want to interrupt you, defense counsel, but the approach I think that could have been another one was to put the statement to him, yeah, and then, and because here we already had a conclusion, and I didn't want to interrupt you, so I let it go, but I saw this happening because it is an interpretation on beforehand. So then normally what you could do is to take up the prior statement, show to the witness and say, look, on page 11 of the prior statement in Rule 4, you say, it was later on that my father found out. And then, the question is more specific. Anyway, what we think about it will come later. What are the two questions you want to put? No, but now to make it concrete, because we have to continue. What are the questions you want to put to Mr. Witness?
I'm done. I asked him the questions, but Your Honor...
No, but this is my question. Now it's my question to you. Because I want to give you the floor to ask what you need for your cross-examination.
We want to do our best, Your Honor. Yesterday, I read the statement, and then I said something opposite or different. And I was told to ask the question first. This is what I did today. So I'm trying to follow the guidance to the best I can.
My guidance is not that you have to imply that you already have to put your conclusion in the question. No, I would never guide you in that way. But what I do want to do, is, and that is my question, what are the questions you want to put to Mr. Witness now? Because that is important. Because for me, it's not completely clear. What do you want to know about him, from him?
Madam President, we have in the statement, and I think everyone can see, so the father found out later, after 1999, in this portion of the statement, that the father doesn't know Peter Shala from his work in the police, and that at the bottom of the page, this Peter Shala he inquired about comes from Croatia. Those are the questions. If you want to ask them, Madam President, you can do it, but we're happy to do it as well.
I've never suggested that I'm going to ask any questions, so let us not enter in such a debate, Defense Counsel. Please proceed with your questioning. And then if there's a reason to further discuss what you're asking, then we will do that. But a suggestion from my part is to be very specific in your questioning towards it, because if you ask a general question, you might not get a specific answer. Madam Court Officer, could you bring in the witness? Welcome back, Mr. Witness. Mr. Witness, the defense counsel will now proceed with his questioning. You have the floor.
Thank you, Your Honor. Welcome back, Mr. Witness. I have two more specific questions from this document that I want to put to you. You confirmed that your father never knew Pieter Shala from his work as a police officer. Do you confirm that?
Defense counsel, please, an open question. Why should he confirm anything? Did your father know? No.
No.
But wait, please. We don't start off with do you confirm? Did your father know? We don't want to have the answer in the question.
Mr. Witness, did your father know the name Pieter Shala or the person Pieter Shala or Uyku from his work as a police officer? Yes or no, if you can.
Never before.
Thank you. Mr. Witness, you told us earlier that you made some investigations or inquiries, and I'll give just a moment to give the reference, about the person nicknamed Uyku, and that is at page 21, lines 18 to 20 of the transcript of today. My question is, did you learn any information? What information did you learn when you inquired about where this Commander Uyku came from?
Some people told me that he was there. However, in the village where my family lived, he was. One person said that he came from Croatia to here. He was there. He felt the war there. One person told me this.
Thank you, Mr. Witness. I'll move on from this document for the moment, Your Honor.
I'm just checking the reference, but please proceed.
Mr. Witness, you told us that you learned that your father was abducted after the war at page 22, line 23 to page 23, line 10. But I think with my learned colleague from the victims, you gave us another detail that you knew that your father was abducted when he was abducted at that time. Can you confirm this detail? You knew that your father was abducted shortly after he was abducted in Albania, correct?
From my mother, yes.
Thank you. What was your reaction, or more specifically, your action from abroad when you learned that? Did you contact anybody to seek information or help?
I started making contact with some acquaintances, people I knew, and people who knew my father. Knew about his character, who he is, but I was unsuccessful in these attempts to contact people.
Do you know somebody by the name Sali Ceku?
seek answers in his family.
My question was, in what way, is it by phone, by other means that you tried to contact us?
Through the phone. I sent somebody over to inform his family.
Do you have the name of this brother?
No, I don't have the name.
What was the response, Mr. Witness?
No answer.
Okay, I'm moving to another topic. Did your father tell you anything after you met him about a journalist or an investigator named Mike or Michael?
No.
Did your father at any point tell you anything about a yellow house?
Never.
Did your father mention anything about a yellow Mercedes?
You mean my father had a yellow Mercedes? Was that the question, or what?
No, when your father told you about the incident and what happened to him in Albania, his abduction, did he mention a yellow Mercedes?
Yes, yes. No. Not to me, never.
So the no is that he didn't mention, just for the clarity of the transcript.
He never mentioned such a thing, meaning a yellow Mercedes. I'm hearing this for the first time.
Again, Mr. Witness, did your father mention, when he told you about these incidents and what happened to him in Albania, the name Gani Shehu?
No.
Do you know somebody by the name Blerim Isufai?
Blerim Isufai. I don't know him personally.
Do you know the relationship of your father with him?
Good ones. Never had any issues with him. But I personally did not know him.
Defense counsel, for our understanding, could you give some background with regard to these questions so that we understand what we are listening to?
Yes, and I can provide this in the presence of the witness in general terms. These are mentions and names from the main person, main testimony that is submitted to you for admission. And we are here, we have an opportunity to check the presence of some of the details in the way, I don't want to use the story, but the incidents and the development of events happened, and actors, places, or objects are mentioned. And we try to explore that with the present witnesses, and that would help the assessment of what is in the statement of the main statements we need to assess at the end. These are the purposes.
Thank you, Defense Counsel.
So thank you very much, Mr. Witness. I'm moving to my last series of questions. Do you remember having a number of contacts with the SPO personnel prior to meeting them for an interview?
And what period of time, if I may ask?
Madam Court Officer, can you bring us into public session, please? A private session, my apologies.
Your Honours, we're in private session.
Thank you, Madam Court Officer. Defense Counsel, please proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Witness, I'll read the last paragraph, number 4, for you, okay? We're in private session.
Could the witness clarify this answer? I don't think that I grasped it.
Yes. Allow me to read it again, please, once more.
In the meantime, I would like to correct what I said before. We don't want dates in public. Not we want dates in this courtroom. We need dates in this courtroom. Just to rectify for the record.
Could you clarify your answer, Mr. Witness? We didn't.
Yes. I wanted to say that the persons who are not involved in this case should not be apprehended.
It's sufficient for us, Your Honor, but you sought the clarification.
Very well.
Thank you very much. Your Honor, just a moment to confer with my colleagues. This might be the end of the cross-examination. Your Honor, we have no further question, just to thank the witness, that's all. Mr. Witness, Fala Mendiret.
Very well. Thank you, Defense Counsel. Mr. Witness, I will now go and see if there is a need for a second round of questioning of you. Yes, and I will first turn to the specialist prosecutor's office to see where they stand on this. Very well. Madam Prosecutor, do you wish to... Defense Counsel, I see that you're standing and you're asking the floor. What?
I am extremely sorry. Just to correct something on the transcript, maybe we need a question to clarify it. It's at page 52, line 18. It seems that the answer has been recorded as the opposite of what the witness said. I do know him or I do not know him. That is...
Do you know somebody by the name Sali Cheku? And then line 18, I don't know him.
I am not the only one in the team to have heard I do know him. So just this to clarify.
Please, you have the floor.
Mr. Witness, do you know Sali Cheku or don't you know Sali Cheku? Yes?
Your Honours, we're in public session.
Thank you, Madam Court Officer. Mr. Witness, Defense Counsel has finished his examination. I will now see if there's a necessity for a second round, and therefore I will turn to the Specialist Prosecutor's Office to see if they want to use some further questions. Madam Prosecutor, you have the floor.
No further questions, Your Honours. Thank you.
Thank you. Very well. Victims' Counsel, any need from your side on this?
No, thank you, Honour.
Okay, no. And I'm very quickly back to you, Defense Counsel. I will not ask the question, but you may answer.
No further questions.
Very well. Then what we will do now, I will confer with my colleagues and we will see how we will proceed now. Mr. Witness, there are no more questions from the parties and Victims' Counsel. There is, however, a question from the panel, so I ask you to bear a little bit more, and I will give the floor to my colleague Judge BT to ask you some further questions for clarification. You have the floor. Victims' Counsel. Defense Counsel, would you like to discuss anything with the panel?
Nothing from our side. Thank you
No?
very much for your time and
Thank
patience.
you. Thank you. Then, if there's not anything to raise anymore, there's neither anything that the panel wants to raise, so that means that we will resume the 1st of May on Monday in the morning at 9:30. And I want to thank the parties and Victims' Counsel and also the attendance of the registry. And I want to thank the interpreters and the stenographer and our security, yes, for their assistance today. And the hearing is adjourned.
All rise.